Hey everyone, Internet PCS Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. If you're coming from only reading the first book, this review will of course be filled with spoilers. But if you're coming from the Netflix series, since the video is made before it came out, how is it? Is it any good? Anyway, let's catch up with the series for a bit. At the end of the first book, it becomes clear that the Earth Trisolaris Organization, or ETO, that is founded by Mike Evans, have become an alien-worshipping cult that invited the Trisolaris alien to wipe out humanity. The three-body game that is used as recruitment tool for the organization has been closed, and the alien Trisolaris has sent their last message. They're coming, and humanity are just bugs to them. Their technology is clearly more advanced to say the least, and their intention for mankind is definitely less than good. The Dark Forest itself is a 400 years long story for humans to prepare for what's coming. For example, we're making space fortress, building nuclear missile and then sending them to space, building specialized space force that are actually built for an existing and approaching threat, and there's a movement by the people on a global level called the Socialized Technology Movement that demands for patents on space technology to be free of charge so that everyone can have equal chance against the Trisolarian. Unfortunately, of course, most countries won't do this despite the incoming threat, and this caused the failure of forming United Earth Space Force, and now every countries have their own space force. Meanwhile, by this level of ETO, the Doombers organization are still in contact with the aliens and are even teaching the warmongering alien how to lie, cheat, and manipulate. Their belief in these aliens making them lose sight on why they give up on humanity in the first place. And they're making plans to make use of humans in fighting on who get to escape to space and who don't, making us look like a bucket of crap who pull each other down. Also in the book, the author focused a lot of generational difficulty that different people and different families face because of the incoming crisis. A lot of it mirrored the crisis in our world, but in very different ways. There's a line that really nails the similarities. Behind them was the golden age, the good time that begins in the 1980s and ended with the crisis. Ahead of them, humanity's arduous years were about to unfold. And that is what the entirety of the book is. While the book had a lot of ideas and concepts that are interesting, most of it fall flat on its face because it's trying too hard to stretch your suspense of disbelief that it snapped. And while I mentioned briefly that there's 400 years before the alien comes, a lot of the book it feels like it's just 5 days stretched into 200 years because of the way it is told. Also, there's this short weird conversation in the book where the main character Logi is having a conversation with his girlfriend about fiction writing and character writing, where the girlfriend for some reason are guessing up Logi about how good of a writer he is, which is kind of funny if this was a self-insult for the author since while his world building is quite good, a lot of his characters are not that fleshed out as people. He also makes fun of young adult genre here, which I've mentioned also in my review of the Three-Body Problem, where the style of writing is very young adult with the way the story is presented, so this is very ironic. So yeah, it's quite a weird conversation to say the least. And this bizarre conversation is how the author is trying to tell us that Logi has a literary mind with rich imagination and is in love with his own imagination of a woman. Which is just weird. And Logi, as I say, is the main character of this book. He's not only someone who are in love with an imaginary girlfriend, but also a leading expert at cosmic sociology, who is selected as the fourth and final Wallfacer. The four people that Earth selected to each find a solution to face the incoming Trisolarian. The Wallfacer is on one hand an interesting concept. It's a responsibility that once given to you, even without your consent, you have to take. And even if you refuse, others will still think you're a Wallfacer due to the nature of how the responsibility works. Which it is cannot be communicated to others. Here's how the book describes it. He now understood that the Wallfacer had a mission far weirder than any in history. Its logic cold and twisted, yet unyielding as the chain that bound Prometheus. It was an unliftable curse impossible for the Wallfacer to break under their own strength. No matter how you struggle, the totality of everything would be greeted with the Wallfacer smile and imbued with the significance of the Wallfacer project. How are we supposed to know whether or not you are working? It's an interesting take on Schrodinger's cat, where the cat are both alive and dead at the same time. The Wallfacer are both working on it and also not working on it. So the ETO will always try to comfort them even if they didn't do anything. And that's the only place I'll give it, because on the other hand, its execution in the story is the worst. First of all, it's very clear that Logi is so obviously the main character. We don't really need to know the three other Wallfacers that was chosen along with him or their plans, because we can already guess that the story will end with Logi's solution becoming the final solution. So the story that happens until that end becomes a chore to read, since their significance is lessened by having an obvious main character. And it's not like there's anything interesting the Wallfacers are doing. The first Wallfacer focused on advancing nuclear weaponry. The second Wallfacer chose to advance our understanding on the human brain. The third Wallfacer is a whip that is obsessed with kamikaze and even approached Japan and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, our main character Roji, the fourth Wallfacer, is just trying to find the woman he often fantasizes about. If you think that's dumb, it's because it is. It's the kind of plot that is only allowed because everyone else in the world in this book is so dumb that they just let things slide. You ever watch Gundam Seed Destiny or BBC Sherlock Holmes? That's how dumb this plot is. It's 6.8 billion people in the world during 2008, which is around the year this story happens if you count it from the first book, and somehow no one else but 4 people are finding the solution of a war-ending crisis. 4 out of 680000000. It's one of the dumbest decisions humanity have made in this entire series so far. And yes, I'm including the first book. And of course, all 4 of them are making incompetent moves that also don't make sense. And that sums up how the characters are written in the book. The characters need to move in ways that allow the plot to happen no matter how nonsensical they are. Wang Miao is not even mentioned in this book, which is great because maybe the author is aware that he's unsalvageable as a character. Xi Xiang, the root officer, is still here, and I think he's the best example on how most characters are written in this book. Xi Xiang went from someone in the first book who questioned everything in the first book into someone who just accept and execute orders without asking any question. You can say that maybe he mellowed out as he aged and also from his leukemia, but he's never a fully fleshed character in the first place, so it's not like this change is due to character growth. It's just in the first book, his role is to be an asshole that questions everything in an exaggerated manner, and in this book his role is to never question logic. The Wallfacer also have to face the ETO, the Bad Human Organization, and they of course choose one for each, calling them Wallbreakers. How else will you know they're the bad guys? It's all very cartoon, including how the Wallbreaker face the Wallfacer, no pun intended. One of the Wallbreaker just walks up to one of the 4 most important person on Earth and then have a long debate bro dialogue. Then the Wallbreaker just walks away and then basically posted the entire thing online. It's also very dumb. The security the Wallfacer have to face is the same as the power level on some power fantasy fiction, where how weak or strong they are fluctuates depending on what the plot needs. Everything about this book just screams that it is written from an already set conclusion, and the path to that conclusion does not matter if it makes sense or not. It's kinda annoying to read through, especially since you can predict the conclusion as early as Luoji being introduced in the story. And on another note, the girl that Luoji asks as a Wallfacer also feels weird. They just found her and then sent her to him. Then of course he fell in love with Luoji because he's the main character in a young adult novel. I don't really mind it because she's also not that well written of a character, so I don't really care. We never know how they got her. Is it kidnapping? Is it blackmail? Who knows? Who cares? Also, as a bonus, the part where physics is no longer real don't actually matter anymore in this book, since we're still using either classical physics, quantum theory, or string theory, so there's really no reason why some of the physicists in the first book end their own life. But it is the kind of writing that makes some earlier plot become worse retrospectively. The book takes a lot of inspiration from Asimov Foundation series. The series is even directly referenced in the book. The conclusion is very similar to the conclusion of Foundation Age, but Foundation Age at least makes some effort on reaching its conclusion. And Cosmic Sociology itself, in its almost non-existent application we see in the book, is a twist of robot psychology introduced by Isaac Asimov in I, Robot. No, not the stupid Will Smith movie, but the much better novel I, Robot, where they are exploring the psychological effect of the 3 robotic laws on robots. The first book might be salvageable to be adapted despite some of its character flaws, but I honestly can't see how any adaptation saves this book without rewriting most of it. This book even tried to use some mystery aspects that are already explored in the first book. If you remember in the 3-body problem, the story goes, "Ooh, I wonder why the universe wanted Wang Miao even though he's a nobody." They try to do the same thing here where the story goes, "Ooh, I wonder why the alien are after Luoji even though he's a nobody. So mysterious." It doesn't work that well in the first book, and it works even less in this one. I mentioned Gundam Seed Destiny. In that show, the character and plot writing are both really ass. But at least there's some giant robot going pew pew at each other to distract you from how bad it is. There's no such thing here since this is not an action. It's purely sci-fi, so it cannot fall back on cool action scene when the characters and the plot fell flat. And everything I've mentioned in the book is not even halfway through the book. Yes, I've read through the end to it, and no, it did not get any better. Well, it did have some cool ideas being explored, especially in the third arc of the book, The Dark Forest, where they finally time skip 200 years into the future, where the author explored relationship and age in post-hibernation technology, with a bit too much respect your elder crap in between the lines, while having the great ravine caused by the elder, civilization who escape underground, civilization immune system, and much more. But the way to get there is so badly done. In the first book, I give it some benefit of the doubt since it's only 1/3 of the trilogy, but now that I've read 2/3 of the story, I'm dreading reading the last book. I don't have much hope that it can save the landing, and it is the longest book in the series. I give this a 1.25. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.